Michelle Barry Christensen, and I've identified 7 levels on which you can invest in your marriage. 3 of them are actually destructive. The other 4 build on one another, and they not only solve the normal everyday problems and the bigger problems that can sometimes feel like they might destroy your relationship, but also through time and synergy with one another, these 4 ways of investing in your relationship can transform your health, your wealth, your friendships, and the community, and the way you make a mark on the world. You can become the very best version of yourself by investing in your love in this way. Are you ready to look at the 7 levels of investment in your relationship? Let's get going. We'll start with the levels that are actually drains, expenses that sap your love of its lifeblood. I number them -1, -2, and -3 because they really are negatives. Problem is, so many people do these and they think they're going to make the relationship get better somehow. First, you can focus in a negative direction. This is level -3 because it is the most toxic. You're investing in resentment and blame. Now, I'm not guessing too many people watching this video have invested too awfully heavily in this one, but I've sure bought a share or 2 of this stock, so to speak, from time to time. And I'm not just saying in the late 90s. We're investing in resentment and blame any time that we're indulging in thoughts of how much something's our partner's fault, or how angry we still are about that thing they did last year, and how much we're going to make them pay if they do that thing again. Have you ever thought about how much better things would be if you were with someone else? How that one special ex of yours never did this thing? Or how your friend's partner seems so wonderful in this particular area, while yours, well, any thoughts of comparison or I wish or man, that makes me mad. Those are going to come up, of course. But it's when we feed those thoughts, when we cultivate that feeling of resentment, and especially when we choose how to treat our partner based on those negative thoughts and feelings, that's what investing in resentment and blame looks like. And far from paying us the dividends of love and respect and pleasure that we really desire, this investment is going to steal from us anything good we do have in our relationship today, and it's eventually going to kill our connection entirely. One step up from investing in resentment and blame is a level I think of as like -2, because it's slightly less damaging than investing in resentment and blame, but it's almost always worse than any of the other ways that we could invest in our relationship. You can invest in coping with the relationship's problems. I call this level investing in coping and control. You try to get by, you try to maintain the status quo, and you try to manage other people's perceptions of your relationship. When you're doing this, you're just trying to live with it. You're getting by, repeating yesterday's arguments or the distance, the recurring themes of struggles around kids or time, money or sex, and you're getting nowhere. But maybe you try to focus on the positive, or you figure it'll get better. The problem is, when we're living this way, we are A, enabling our partner and ourselves in those dysfunctional patterns that perpetuate the problem, and B, we're forgetting day by day what we really loved about our partner when we got together, and what our real dreams and visions were for our lives. Over time, the compound effect of all that repetition and that loss of the best of ourselves and our love, it's devastating. And by trying to make the best of things and thinking, oh, things aren't so bad, we slowly erode our sense of ourselves until one day we become utterly unrecognizable, even to ourselves. The 3rd level of investment in your relationship is also not an investment, but a parasite that kills your love slowly but surely, or perhaps quickly, depending on your approach. I call this investment investing in partner renovation. This is one that I tried for many years. I was proud that I wasn't just putting up with things that didn't work. I was a woman in touch with my desires and my needs, and by gum, I was going to show that man exactly what needed to change. Problem was, I didn't really see how I was contributing to what wasn't working, so I couldn't take the plank out of my own eye. I could only talk about the sliver in his. To make matters worse, I'd worked myself into such a lather over how badly I needed things to be different that the way I approached him had zero chance of him or any reasonable human being wanting to take me up on the invitation. I mean, I'm lucky that the man is unreasonable enough in his love for me that by some miracle, he stuck it out long enough for me to catch a clue. Seriously, being as deeply invested in the spousal improvement business as I was ought to land a person in divorce court. But thank God, we made it through that chapter, and I'm on a mission now to help other well-intended, highly self-aware, big vision people get out of the change my loved one game and into the much bigger, much better games that I've discovered since. Trust me, over here, there's way more turn on, more flowers, more laughter, more fun, more of everything I thought I was working so hard to create, but was in fact sabotaging with my efforts. The fourth level. Now at this level, finally we're making some progress. This is the kind of investment that's actually going to pay off. I call this level investing in your capacity. Here, you're growing your relationship skills and your capacity for giving and receiving the kind of love you desire. Do you see how much that's an inside game? See, one of the biggest problems ambitious people encounter when they want to achieve relationship goals is that they work differently than other goals. You can't work on someone else, or even the union between you and someone else, the same way that you work on, say, your upper body strength, or your discretionary spending habits, or your mindfulness. Nope. The relationship and your partner's reactions to you are actually the products of something much further upstream, your own capacity for giving love and receiving the love that comes to you, and for rolling with all the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune that life throws your way with equanimity and peace and joy. Building this capacity really pays off. The beauty of investing in this level is that when we do it, it doesn't really matter whether our partner gets on board or not. It doesn't really matter whether this relationship gets better in any particular way or not. Life gets better. We get bigger. I mean, a relationship that's essentially healthy does tend to improve dramatically and easily when we invest in our own capacity. But that's just gravy at this point. My clients who've invested in their own capacity have found that one of three things happens. Their relationship grows tremendously and their partner surprises the pants off of them, sometimes literally. Or their own lives get broader and deeper and their gratitude for the good things in their relationship starts to kind of soften the rough edges of the things in the relationship that have been painful. They're happy, even though what they had thought had to change perhaps hasn't changed that much. The third scenario has been that when one partner invested in their own capacity for love and self-awareness, their partner responds negatively to that. They not only don't get on board, they're threatened by the changes they recognize. They pull away, they shut down, or they come out with anger. Now, I guide clients to roll with some initial reactivity because even when our couple is destined for legacy love, the nicest partner, there can be some bumps in the road as we begin to change the status quo. But after some time, if your partner persists in digging ditches where you're trying to plant seeds, and if you've been squarely focused not on resenting them, not on trying to change them, not on coping with what has been, but instead on growing your capacity, you're going to see with empathy and love and patience what's next for you in the relationship. There won't be a panic about having to decide, feeling torn like you have to choose, as so many clients have put it, between holding on to myself and being in this relationship. Your path will become clear when you're investing in and expanding your own capacity to give and receive the kind of love you really desire. So you don't have to worry about it at all right now. All will be revealed as you invest in your capacity. This level is where my work begins. I help clients do 4 specific things at this level. 1, know yourself, your style, your needs, and your expectations, where you gain insight into who you are, what matters most to you in life and love, and what unique gifts and challenges you bring into every relationship. 2nd, live your values and handle yourself. In this area, you discern and commit to your own highest principles for living and loving. Then you grow your capacity for self-regulation so you can return to center, even if you don't always stay 100% centered through life's many challenges, and communicate and make choices from the very best of you, not from your reactivity. You learn to counter the mean voices in your head and the tendencies we all have to either wall off or merge with others when we're scared. 3rd, you develop erotic intelligence. This is where you come to understand how sexuality actually works. Get to know yourself as a sexual, playful, curious, embodied being, independent of how others see you or might define you, and independent of any particular other person or relationship. Only when you've sharpened your erotic intelligence are you in a position to create sweeter, deeper, hotter intimacy with someone else. And finally, understand human power. In this area, I help people discover the building blocks of human capacity for both good and what I call distorted power. You might think of it as error or harm or evil. Once you've learned the language of power and how different elements of power work together, it's like you have X-ray vision on your own life, your interactions with other people, and the world at large. You see power at play everywhere. Clients also come to understand where relative privilege and oppression, however subtle, and often not so subtle, play into our relationships and our individual psychology, which are both tremendously influenced by our culture. We start to see how much gender conditioning and gender roles, as well as other forms of categorization and hierarchy, play into our experience and hinder our potential. This knowledge is foundational for developing the capacity to be an advocate for yourself and for others, and to prevent harm and repair inadvertent harm, and become a force for good in a larger way. When you've made enough investment in your capacity, you'll find that organically the next level of investment in marriage arises. This is where we invest in joy, connection, and well-being together. Building on, and only possible once we have a critical mass of, that fourth level investment in our own capacity for love, I call this level investing in the sanctuary. At this level, you're deepening the intentionality of how you engage with one another, how you design your life together, how you each show up in good times and the challenging times, and the way you bring your capacities together. The institution of marriage and the habits of long-term cohabitation, regardless of your relationship structure, really lend themselves to some ingrained habits and the natural entropy that familiarity breeds. We can begin to take one another for granted. We can inadvertently focus on the negative and think more of our own needs and grievances than how we can serve and what burdens our partner carries. This level of investment helps us cultivate instead a daily mindfulness of the deeper purpose of our union and the many opportunities that we have to be nourished by cultivating the mutual safety and joy that we can share inside it. At this level, you learn to masterfully handle your partner, like an expert rider or a championship dog trainer partners with and handles the animal they love. There are again 4 ways I help clients invest at this level. So first, I help them settle down together, communicate effectively, navigate conflict. This work builds on those investments that you made in your individual capacity for being settled down and for living from your values and from your self-awareness. When you can stay centered, not be reactive, and know how you want to show up regardless of others' behavior or their communication, then you're free to improve how you operate as a couple. So at this level, with that foundation, we map out and work with the resolvable and unresolvable disputes. You learn how to be brilliant stewards of one another's state without any funky boundary breaking or codependent stuff. And we set up guardrails that keep conflict conversations focused, healing, and safe for everyone. That way we can wade into those sensitive topics where angels fear to tread without our being fools rushing in. With this investment, the level of connection and the level of ease just skyrocket, and that leaves a ton of new energy available for other parts of life. In the second arena of investing in your sanctuary, you make a home and plan for love and align your logistics. This is where my clients learn to work with all the myriad responsibilities and tasks and decisions that go into running a life together in a way that feels good for you both, that engages your creativity and your values, and that creates deep satisfaction. You establish habits that take great care of your health and your physical energy, your physical home, your finances, your family, your hobbies, and your community connections. You learn to make more room for closeness and for intimacy by planning your years, months, weeks, and days in ways that save bandwidth for these most vulnerable values: the time together, eroticism, play, and ease. Above all, you build skills at managing the details and decisions as a team in a way that deepens your connections rather than creating headaches and no-fly zones you never want to enter. So as a result, the horizons on your life expand. Clients have found they're able to build a vacation home, explore a new hobby, invest in rental property, decide smoothly whether to have another child, or dramatically change their financial situation, all because they operate as a fluid and agile team. Now, the results are beautiful, but the process itself is the most satisfying part. Third, you learn to create erotic synergy. Here again, you build on what you did on your own in deepening your own erotic intelligence. When two people who know themselves well sexually and have confidence and permission to own their sexual power and energy and desires, and they're getting along well in other areas, they come together, my questions of how do we have more sex? How do we have better sex? How do I initiate? How do I respond? How do I get what I need in bed? They're all so much easier to answer. At this level of investment, you too expand your capacity to create polarity sexually, to play, to create an ebb and flow of space and closeness that increases your attraction and connection. And you learn to delight in mystery and intrigue and make it safe to drop down into deeper levels of pleasure and surrender. It's pretty amazing. Most people start by wanting to go here, but I think you're probably starting to see how all the other investments work together to enrich the soil, so to speak, so that these particular fruits can grow. Now, finally, in the fourth level of investment, you build capacity for what I call power play. Power, when you begin learning more about it in the third level, is a huge component of why relationships work or don't work, and especially in the areas of feeling seen and honored and respected and desired and attracted. Now, in this area, you come to understand how power relates to the reactions you might have had to certain things your partner or someone else did or didn't do, how power influences your attraction to your partner, and how relative changes in power can affect your relationship. You'll gain more mastery over your perceptions of power so that you're less at the whim of these subconscious meanings, and you'll learn how to deliberately play with power together as well as individually. At the fifth level of investment, life gets really, really good. But my favorite clients are the people who don't want to stop there. The good life, the love that others admire and learn from, the friends and family and travel and investment portfolio. I mean, they're beautiful blessings, but they're not the end game. They're the foundation for the next level of investment that a couple can make. The sixth level of investing in your marriage takes you beyond that beautiful life and into the realm of your destinies. This is a level at which you listen for that deeper call that life is issuing you both, and you begin to fearlessly invest in actualizing both your dreams, together and individually. It'd be scary if you hadn't made the investments at the other levels, because your union and your sense of self wouldn't be solid enough to withstand the risks that are entailed in living out your deepest desires and dreams. You'd be scared by your partner's bold moves. You'd get stuck on the verge of making your own. Or you'd blow out when you took on too much all at once, or when your ego hijacked the whole operation and convinced you that your partner was a show-stopping impediment to some aspect of your dream. When you methodically invest in your relationships at each level, in sequence, and you stop investing at those lowest three levels, you can securely build tall towers in your lives and in your love, knowing that you've dug deep, reliable foundations and that you're maintaining them. At this level, you also do three things. You come to embody what attachment-based psychologists call earned attachment, a depth of security in yourself and your relationship that surpasses what your childhood set you up to experience, all because you've done the hard work of behaving your way into an entirely different brain. Second, you establish what I call the love habit, where your rhythms, your most common reactions, your priorities, and your routines all reflect choices that deepen your intimacy with yourself and with your partner, and even with something larger than you both. Third, at this level, couples are investing in something I call your erotic evolution. This is where that erotic synergy you created gets a chance to spread its wings and shift and change through time. Your bodies are changing through the years. Your life circumstances change. Your relationships with power and position and your roles and responsibilities all change. Erotic evolution gives you the courage and the grit to grow into something unprecedented, in bed and beyond, in response to these changes, rather than taking the seeming default path that our society presents of slowly fading away as an erotic being through the years. And then we come to the final level, at least as far as I can see today, of a couple's evolution and their investment in their relationship. At the 7th level of investment, you're investing in the legacy you will leave together. Couples who've made it this far are absolutely living their dreams in ongoing ways. As they say in the infomercials though, but wait, there's more! I call this level legacy love. This is the heirloom-worthy, look back from your Adirondack chairs on the deck overlooking the ocean, hold hands and smile with one another level of satisfaction. This is the level where you're investing in 4 more capacities. First, wise loving. Here you learn to deal with change and loss and grief with equanimity. You learn to honor differences in your respective approaches to such changes, and you develop a spiritual, not necessarily religious, perspective on love, sex, and life itself that brings you meaning and comfort. Second, you invest in dream tending. You deepen your devotion to your partner's dreams, their goals, their visions for the world. You learn to hear their callings as part of your sacred mission in this life, as the steward of those dreams. Third, erotic aging. In this arena, you're learning to love well in changing bodies, to embrace aging as an accrual of power, not a loss of power, and to cultivate the stamina and gentleness to create a nourishing, deeply satisfying love in a very long life, perhaps 100 years or more. You explore the ramifications of such longevity and the attendant changes that it might bring, and you dismantle your cultural conditioning around sex and aging bodies. And finally, legacy love. At this level, you have surpassed your goals for yourselves and you live in gratitude and awe for all your blessings. Born of that gratitude, you experience a deep desire to serve, to give, to build something that will outlast your mortal lives. I call this strong urge toward generosity legacy love. At this level, you're investing in a love that changes the world. What that will look like will be unique to you, but what I already know is that it will be exquisite. These are the 7 levels of investment in your marriage. Did you stop it? You start to see how much gender conditioning and gender roles, as well as other forms of So many people want their life needs, and you haven't been focused squarely on. You can learn more about the 7 levels of investment, about the ways I help couples who are ready for levels 4, 5, 6, or 7 at my website. You'll find weekly relationship and intimacy videos on YouTube, quick live candid videos on my Facebook page, and daily inspiration for living in love for good on Instagram. Click the link in the description and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel.